Okay, the trade we're going to be studying is on ROKU. The setup is a parabolic short. There's several key takeaways from this trade. What we're going to be talking about today is when you're going for a parabolic short and you're shorting the front side too early, basically that side move where the stock is pushing up, you're going to be wrong. And so it's important not to take too much size. In my case, I do start in too early. I take more size than I'd like, and I'm instantly wrong on the trade, and I've got to instantly accept that and go to management mode. So we'll talk about recycling shares, which is basically on the short side, covering shares even for the loss when you're adding to the position. So I'm adding into the position, getting better entries, getting better average, but I'm not just adding for the sake of adding on my original position. I have to understand that I'm wrong. You need to make sure that you size down and then size back in to either get a better average or when the trade starts working in your favor. It takes a lot of time to get comfortable with continuing to recycle shares before the trade has worked in your favor. But again, you've got to know what you're working with. You've got to know the catalyst behind the move. You've got to know the reason for the move. In this case, ROKU just had good earnings. They're up $40 a share overnight. I could still be wrong and this thing could shoot up another $10, $15, $20, but I'm managing the trade. I'm prepared for that, and I'm prepared to start minimizing my losses through scalps. So we get pops. I short into those pops. We get flushes. I cover into those flushes. And as I start to grind back by focusing on the price action, I start to reduce those losses. You'll have to focus on grinding back over time. Now, staying in the position initially and just kind of waiting and hoping, not a good strategy. If you take that loss right out the gate and you put your head down and walk away, maybe it's your max loss for the day. Maybe you're just instantly exhausted, frustrated that you're wrong. You don't even want to try and look at it again. That might be, early on in your trading career, but as you develop a stronger mindset, as you focus in on what's happening right in front of you, you will be able to focus on that action, make those quick decisions, instantly flip, whether it's to the long side if the trade has completely shifted gears, and or stay convicted to that short opportunity. But you've got to make those decisions and you've got to minimize those losses. We're going to take a close-up look at when to best enter a short on a parabolic move. So using the price action, using the chart, what you see as candle formations, the level 2, using all of that information in front of you to get that best possibility for entry. And finally, as a bonus, I use a second account here. You can use that if you have one, but the important thing is that it's not necessary to have multiple accounts. Okay, if you have one, that's fine. I'll show you how to manage the trade regardless of the drawdown, as you'll see with all these other things. The second account I mainly use for taking on additional positions, getting better entries. In this case, as you'll see, I use it as a source of income. So that way, I can withdraw from that, the gains for the month, reset it more frequently. My main trading account, that's what's used for growth and compounding. And so if you don't have that, it's okay. It's important to understand that you can work your way out of a situation when you're wrong on a trade. But it's also important to understand that you're going to be wrong. And you have to accept and understand that you're going to have losing trades. You're going to be focused in on a position as prepared as you possibly can be, and still the trade is going to go against you. In this particular case, I didn't flip to the long side out the gate because I was pretty convicted on the short opportunity, again, given where we had come from and the scenario playing out in front of me. And so I'll work through that, and I'll focus in on explaining to you my thought process along the way, so that way you learn from this experience and you truly understand how to be an effective trader. Even when you're wrong, you can still end the day hitting your goals. So let's go ahead and get into that trade. So here we are, right out the gate. I'm in Roku already, 600 shares, more than I'd like to be. Didn't wait for the parabolic move. We've just got the second candle forming. I reacted to that first candle as you see, but then we've got that instant reversal push. So 600 shares already down, more than I'd like to be. I need to start recycling these shares. Before I add to the position, I want to take some off. You draw your key levels. You draw that mental picture of where you want to start covering and or where your current average is at so you can get that baseline. You see we're still pushing. I'm going to have to eventually recycle some more, take some more of that drawdown. Okay, let's go ahead and stop for a moment and see where we are at on this particular trade. Right now, we're 3 minutes into the open, and Roku has moved $15 a share off of the opening range. Right around that 320 area was the low, opened around 322. And as you can see here on this candle where I've paused it in at, we are almost at $337 on Roku. And I am in $329 average, 1,000 shares. I've already taken $4,500 in realized losses, $7,800 in unrealized. I'm literally down $12,000 in the first 3 minutes. Okay? So when you run into this and you become a trader, you sign up for moments like this. It's not ideal. It's not what I wanted. It's not what I anticipated. But I instantly have to go into management mode. When you see this level shoot up, you see that last candle where we basically in 20 seconds went from about 332 to 337, $5-6 a share. That's the candle that you want to start shorting into to anticipate the parabolic move and then get the reversal down. And so what we need to do here is get back to the trade and watch. As we come back, I'm going to switch and get into my second account because that's where I can reset and where the real trade should have began. And then I'll come back and focus in on this. Again, you don't need a secondary account. If this is what you're working with and this is the situation you find yourself in right out the gate, you take this loss, walk away, you sit here and just hope that it comes back down and you make all your money back, or you start reacting, you start making better decisions, you start focusing on the opportunity to get back some of what you've lost. Let's get right back into it, see how we can manage this. So now I flip to my other account. I try to get it the best average possible. You see that snap back from 337 back down to 332 pretty quickly. So could only get a $333 average on 500 shares, pretty much maxed there. Now focused in on my original trade. Still working through the shares, looking for the opportunity and snap back to that VWAP 327 area. So if I'm working with two accounts now, I have to kind of go back and forth here just to keep an eye on it, maybe set up some covering positions, which is what I'll start doing in case we do get a snapback. Those trades will execute, but I'm focused on the first original account in case there's a quick snapback. I've got these locked in if we get that flush. I want to start minimizing some of this position because we are at VWAP. We can get a flush down, but again, we could get a snap back. At this point, Roku could snap right back up to the highs, and I'll have to manage that. But I'm anticipating that we will reverse given that we're still up already almost $45 a share. We've snapped up really fast, really early on. There's an opportunity here for a further flush out back to that 325, 322, maybe even 320 area before any next leg up. It's important to manage the trade, trying to be more patient, monitor the action so we get one final push attempt off of VWAP, but then you see that instant reversal back. And so now I'm okay with waiting for this to come back down, letting it work, not overreacting, not covering right away. Waiting to see if VWAP will fail here. When you notice it's trying to push, but it's creating that level of resistance, you can either add to that position, or if you're already in the size that you want, you can anticipate that reversal action, get your orders ready. I like to visually draw these lines on the chart so I can understand these key levels. You see we're bouncing off that previous area again, and if we snap through it, I need to be prepared to start sizing down on this position, covering into these flushes. As we get close, I'd like to size down a little bit here, minimize some of those earlier losses. We get a little bit more flush, but again, because I've got that key level, I'm anticipating 325 is going to be an area of support. And if we snap right back to 330, I'll miss that opportunity to lock in some gains. So I'll go into my second account and go ahead and lock the rest in. Regardless of what happens from here on out, I want to just go ahead and take that position off. I'm fortunate to have that second account. I was fortunate to react quickly enough to get in there and take some of that size. So I need to just go ahead and take it. It's $3,000 in this account. First 15 minutes. There's no reason not to take it off. And then now my focus and attention can be on this main account. Again, if you don't have a second account, then you're just focused here. You see we've come down from over 12,000. Now realized to 2,000. So that's a $10,000 swing in 12 minutes because I'm managing the trade. I'm focused on what's happening on the chart. Instead of sitting and waiting through all of this, I'd still be down on those original shares had I not minimized and improved the average and just stayed focused. I knew out the gate, first 3 minutes, that I was completely wrong on the trade. I started in too early, had too much size. So essentially, there's not a lot left for me to make. And the goal is if I can get back to break even, that's a win. So now we're under $1,000 in losses. I've managed the trade pretty well over the last 15 minutes so far. Up over 2,000 on the day if you factor in the other account, but my goal is to get back to flat and reset. My goal is to show you if you don't have a second account, if you only were able to take so much size, that's okay. You can focus in on what you have to work with, and you can work your way back by staying focused on the price action, staying focused on these pops, anticipating them, covering until you're right, adding back in once the thesis proves, and then covering in on those flushes. So we take a little bit more size as we continue to stay heavy, cover a little bit more on these flushes. If we don't slam down quickly, I like to take most of the position off because I could always reassess and re-add back those shares, but I'm also anticipating quick snapbacks before that next level down. And so, perfect example of that quick snapback. But if that 327 level, 328 level stays heavy, I can always add those shares back in. So essentially I'm just scalping my way back to zero. Now I'd like to anticipate a flush of that 322.50 area. And so I'll get some early entries here. Don't like the action, so I kind of flip long. I saw a base, and so you can do that sometimes, flip long, but if it's just toying with you and it's trading inside this range, so to speak, you can just instantly get out of the position. This is one of the only longs I'll take on this as we move back to VWAP. So it worked out in this case, but I really would like to see a reversal off that, get back in on the short side. Get a quick snapback. I'm going to now start anticipating a break of that 324 area, especially with that quick snapback off of VWAP. It's a little bit of a chase, but usually those slam downs like that, when they retest, you'll get a quick snap up, but then you'll get a secondary test back down. Better to take it off. So keep in mind, I was completely wrong on this trade. If you got in above 333, maybe anywhere above 330, you're in the money, and you've probably already locked in on the first test at 325. Well, that's what I did in the second account. But again, if you're wrong out the gates, we've managed to come from $12,000 down to just under 400. Even if you haven't even traded the position at all and you've waited this first 30 minutes out, there's still an opportunity to hit whatever goal you've set, whether that's $200, $500, or $1,000. You still have that opportunity with the range that Roku is showing today. I like to draw these key levels out. You'll see me do that on a lot of the videos because I like to visualize where that prior support and or resistance is at. And you'll see it play out on the chart. I don't use a lot of moving averages. I'm not really concerned about the bigger picture. I'm concerned about the intraday, what's happening on the 1 minute chart. Occasionally look at the 5 minute chart. So as I try to anticipate some of these opportunities where we'll get that dip and we'll get that fade back down to 322, I go in with smaller size. Smaller size so that way I can potentially add into the position to the size I really want and where I'm comfortable with. Here I don't have the best average. And there's an opportunity that this could be the start of a further breakout at two highs. So I've got to be mindful of that. But if we get a reversal, I'll add back into the position, hold it a little bit longer. If we get a snap back under VWAP, and then cover there. So this action is good. Seeing those wicks form, seeing that heaviness, it's a good sign that we're going to reverse and slam back down. And if we weren't, you'll just continue to see that base at the 330s and then slowly start to curl up to 332. that's when you know it's best to just pull the position, go flat, or flip long if continued volume starts to really push up. In this case, we're getting less volume and we're staying pretty heavy. So here we are. We broke even, basically flat, all the way from 12,000 down, 45 minutes, technically up 3,000 on the day. And so now, clear head, fresh start. I'll speed it up a little bit here because now I'm thinking I can still hit my daily goal here in this account, $1,000. If I stay focused, if I keep working through this, I think there's an opportunity for Roku to continue to stay heavy, work its way back down to that 320 area. So that's what I'm going to be anticipating here. As far as I'm concerned, the day has restarted. I've gotten a second opportunity to hit my goal. Instead of just walking away, getting out close to break even, being happy with that, or having much more increased risk and just sitting and hoping on your original entry that things would reverse. There's a risk that Roku never looks back and goes to 350s, 360s. You've got to manage the trade. You can still come out hitting close to or above your goal. It can be done, and that's what I'm showing you here. Anytime you see these candles base like this, these red candles basing, there's an opportunity for more downside. So I'm going to try to anticipate that here. Really thinking about sizing in for a potential $5 downside, which may not happen right away. But I'm also just being cautious. So of course I'm going to be affected by the morning. So I'm going to be minimizing my size. I've worked my way back to break even. There's no reason to repeat the mistakes of the morning again. But I want to be focused. It's important to be focused on the trade when there is more opportunity, when you identify that the stock is staying heavy, especially after the run-up it's had up to this point. No reason to walk away just yet. I know we're coming up on an hour into the morning, but you can work through it if you can reset, if you can stay focused, pay attention to the chart, to the price action. There's that continued action. The way I trade is, this case, taking smaller size. I'd like to have a little bit more size going in, but again, looking at those key levels, I do anticipate these snapbacks. Checking the other account, yeah, the P&L is still there. Sometimes I like looking at a cleaner chart without all of the entries, so if I have that opportunity, I'll flip just to look at the chart cleanly with a fresh set of eyes, so to speak. The candles are getting tighter, right? So we don't have these big swings anymore, and it's usually that is a result of the time of day, that first hour, a lot of volatility, a lot of volume, a lot of emotion. We're starting to settle down. So sometimes this can be a much more cleaner fade, much more easier to anticipate opportunity. Some traders do wait the first 30 minutes. Some traders do wait the first hour. Some traders trade the afternoon. I prefer to trade within those first 15 minutes to half hour, sometimes an hour, because you could really hit your daily goal, minimize risk, move on with the rest of your life, and make a really good living. So I've drawn this base here, and that's what I really want to anticipate. I want to anticipate if we come back, this is the line in the sand, that 324 area. So as we snap back, I'm going to get a larger order ready here because you can see how we've snapped right back down. We're basing one more time. We've based so often, usually you'll get that quick flush, and unfortunately, I'm not fast enough. Tried to take 500 shares there, and you can see that was a quick $3 flush. Would have been a nice $1,500. Even if that was your first trade of the day, you've already made the daily goal. And so I don't want to chase here, because that range that I drew out, my goal was to short into that 324, cover as we approach that 320. I don't want to get 500 shares for that dollar. I want to wait for these snapbacks. I want to wait for us to now retest 325 and then still show signs of staying heavy. If it firms up, pushes 325, 327, I'll reassess there at the 327 to 330 area up to the high of day. But if it stays heavy, then I've got an area of resistance. I've got a good stop loss mentally if we come down and retest that 324, 323. Can then take that short anticipating the 320 move. So there we do, we get another snapback. Again, I'm too slow, but I'm anticipating that this snapback will be followed by an even bigger one. So I chase a little bit and I go immediately full size with 1,000 shares. Because if we do flush, we'll see those 320s pretty quickly. And maybe even down to the 317 area, but I probably won't wait that long. If I see green, I'll take it. If we approach the daily goal, I'll definitely start sizing down and taking it, as you see here. Always scaling out half. Waiting for a flush, but we don't get that next big candle flush down like I was anticipating, so I just take it off. No reason not to. You were down over 12,000, now you're up 1,000, hit the daily goal. Would be a good time to walk away here. Up over 4,000 on the session. But I think there's a little bit more opportunity here. Quick peek at a clean chart. If we get another pop and another test of that 322, 325 area, but stay heavy, then I'm going to anticipate even further breakdown. And as we approach 11, maybe consider one more trade for the day. Try to capture one of these $2 snapbacks with 1,000 shares would be great. But I realize we're not snapping down like we were before, so I want to take that right back off. That's okay, because you can always get back in. Instead, I go a little bit less size this time, which makes more sense. You don't want to keep jumping back in with full size. anticipating if this area stays heavy. So I add, and then I start covering. Still not getting that snap back to 317, so I just take the position off. Up almost $1,600 now. Almost an hour and a half. That's 90 minutes. Total of $4,600 on the day. No reason not to go take a break. Be done for the day. You can come back in the afternoon, go and study, go live your life, but lock it in. At this point, no reason to keep trading. Whether you have a second account or not, you work your way back through, you still hit your daily goal. I minimize this trade a lot by being early, being wrong, not waiting for that parabolic move. But if you look at this chart, there's ample opportunity to hit a decent daily goal. So recognize you can focus on one stock, an A+ opportunity setup. Even if you get it wrong, you can still make money. Even if there's other opportunities, other stocks moving, if you stay focused, you can come back from a drawdown. You don't need to trade a ton of names. You just need to be focused. You just need to use proper trade management, and you can hit that daily goal. Hope this was a good lesson for you.